What's up, everybody? Jack Var here on behalf of Box to Box Football. I'm here with James, and yes, it's our favourite time of the year. Just had the quarterfinals that did not disappoint. James and I picked the favourite in every single tie. We only went 50-50 on that one. We went 2-2 on those ones. So that'll tell you how kind of exciting the most previous round was. Please, I'm sure James will pop it in the description here for our reactions to those quarterfinal matchups. Where does that leave us, though, in terms of our predictions and where we're at? Well, the fact that James and I had every single result the exact same means that it's the same points differential. James has got 17 correct results out of 28. I've got 18 out of 28. So, James, I'm not going to lie. I think for the kind of weird year that we're having right now, I think we're doing all right. There are some big teams that have kind of gone belly up early, a couple of surprises. And, speaking of surprises, here we are in the semi-final. There's certainly one team that you'd imagine should not really be there. What's your kind of takeaway looking at these semi-finals over both of them? How does this compare to other semi-finals for you?
Again, interesting. Very, very interesting. Again, the Liverpool Villarreal one, I was expecting Bayern Munich. We were all expecting Bayern Munich, and then when the shock happened, it makes you feel like, oh, it's just easy to pick Liverpool in the situation here. But again, we're going to discuss it. I feel like that bout is a lot more interesting that people actually look at when they just look at it's Villarreal there. And again, let's just get into it. We'll kind of see how we go.
So what I'm going to do, I've already admitted to James that there's one of these two games that I haven't even decided on yet, but there's one that I have decided on. So I will kind of happily go first for the next one. So James, if you want to go first for Manchester City at home first at the Etihad versus Real Madrid, who do you have for this one? I've already got my pick, and then I will go first on the next one if that's quite all right with you.
It's a tough one here because
It is.
I think the favourites, people will say, is Manchester City.
Sure.
We look at the way that they play. We look at what they've done this year. They look like they might win the league, and we know how desperate they are to win the Champions League. The one thing I realised from it, first of all, is that Atletico Madrid game might have taken a lot out of Manchester City than we actually realise. And that's not from a point of view of, oh, yeah, they got worked hard. I'm looking at the point of view of players getting injured, Jack.
Well, James, but also I think to add to that quickly, emotionally, mentally, that was a very draining game. We know what happened in the tunnel after. We know what happened during the end of that game. We know what Atletico Madrid are like as opponents. So I think you're right from multiple perspectives there.
To me, there's so many perspectives for that, but I look at the point of view that they might be missing Kyle Walker. I think he had a serious twist in the game, and I'm not sure if he's going to be available for the two legs there. And to me, that is a big advantage for Real Madrid. Now, I look at Real Madrid and I look at what they have overall. The first thing that comes into my mind is that I call them very, very bipolar. So I don't know what Real Madrid is going to show up in the game. Is it going to be the first leg display against Chelsea? Is it going to be that 15-minute absolute madness against PSG, or are we going to get what we've seen in the second leg against Chelsea and also the majority of the PSG game where they just don't seem up for it? They're a bit tentative, they sit back, players are having stray passes here, there, and even from their best players. So it's very interesting what Real Madrid team is going to show up here. But the one thing that Real Madrid need to be careful of is, for me, taking the foot off the gas for a long period of time. Because, again, Chelsea let them back into the game. Chelsea let them into the game in certain parts. PSG let them into the game. I feel
100%.
like if they're bad for a number, let's say a game or even a game and a half, Manchester City are going to rip them apart.
Right.
They can't afford to first of all, to be tentative and sit back. Because if they sit back and get let Manchester City get the rhythm of pushing the ball side to side, breaking lines, and Real Madrid win the ball back and it's a ball up to Benzema and there's no one supporting him, and Man City recover the ball back and get back into their rhythm, the game won't be close, Jack. So right. I feel like if Real Madrid have the belief in themselves to go out there and actually go at Manchester City, to me, that is where, for me, they're going to have their best chance of winning. The second side to me is Pep Guardiola and how he approaches this. We all know the history that he has in this competition for overthinking, and people say he does things uncharacteristically in certain moments where he should he shouldn't do. will they be another instance in this situation here where a tinker might just disturb the flow of the game for Manchester City? But the one thing about Real Madrid that I need to look at, Jack, is this Champions League aura that they have about them, Jack. It's almost, it's just irresistible at times.
You can't put your finger on it.
Jack, I can't tell you, but they just seem to have it. Like, Jack, against Sevilla, Jack, they're 2-0 down, they're getting battered, and they show this heart to somehow come out in the second half, Jack, and win 3-2. You know, so it's going to be a thing where, like, if Manchester City get them, they will put their foot on their throats and then they're going to destroy them. But City also has the ability to collapse in certain situations in the Champions League. And once Real Madrid, Jack, we've seen on a number of occasions, and if Real Madrid get to that point where they have Manchester City, we know how much they can take advantage of it. I look at, to me, the way Real Madrid set up, and if they set up right, and especially on Vinicius Jr.'s side with no Kyle Walker there, I believe that area there is where that they can really get a Manchester City out wide, balls in on the counter attack, out wide, balls into Benzema, and that's where, to me, Real Madrid can really hurt this Man City team. So as I'm going on about it right now, Jack, I just have Real Madrid going through in the tie. Now, do I feel crazy confident about that? No, but the aura of Real Madrid has just lured me in. This mythical Champions League aura that they have about them. It's hard to resist at times, and I'm finally gonna go for Real Madrid because this is the third. I would have picked against them 3 times in a row, but no more. So I got Real Madrid going through.
Look, I can't blame you here. I really can't. And again, this is the kind of matchup where it really does feel somewhat of a coin toss at this point. Like you said, you have to talk it out, you have to break it down, you have to see how you're feeling going into it. That's got to be kind of the main takeaway. For me, how I see this game, obviously, we know with lots of team sports, it's a game of matchups, right? Midfield is a total wash, right? We know that, okay? The central midfield for Real Madrid, the central midfield for Manchester City, this is, I mean, take your pick at who you like, and I'll believe either side of the argument. If you want to talk about Luka Modric, Casemiro, Valverde, and Toni Kroos, fine. If you want to talk about De Bruyne, you want to talk about Rodri, you want to talk about Gundogan, you want to, talk about those guys, fine, right? That's a wash to me. Man City's attack versus Real Madrid's defense. If Real Madrid think at any point in the game they're going to play 3 natural fullbacks as a back line of 4, it's over. Forget about it. They are screwed. They are screwed against a Pep Guardiola team. They will totally outplay them, play around them, you name it, right? Other side of the ball. To your point about the loss of Kyle Walker, it's a huge loss. That cannot go underestimated. But we know what the adjustment is, James. You and I sitting here, we know what the adjustment is. João Cancelo moves from the left to the right. Zinchenko comes in on the left. Now, do I think that swapping out Kyle Walker for Zinchenko is great and Man City are just as strong as they were? Absolutely not. No, Zinchenko, I think, largely has been a weakness of this Man City team and arguably squad for a very, very long time. He's a good squad player. He can come in, does a job, works hard, sound enough technically, tactically and whatnot to get by, but we know how much of a difference maker that is going to be in that position. However, best player in the world right now, Karim Benzema? I think so, based on form. Anyway, I don't know if Karim Benzema at his best is better than Kylian Mbappe at his best, Erling Haaland at his best. But to me, we're not seeing Kylian Mbappe at his best right now, Erling Haaland at his best right now, mainly because they're not in these competitions, James. We're seeing Karim Benzema week in, week out deliver. This is the Ballon d'Or frontrunner, no questions asked, in my opinion, right? That's scary. That's really, really scary. But what I'll say, James, all of Real Madrid's victories as they've come through this competition have been dramatic, they've been emotional, and it's been Hollywood. That has to run out at some point. I know I'm kind of falling back into my law of averages Manchester United talk here, right, which we've not seen. But the flip side of that argument is if you get lucky, not even lucky, but let's say fortunate, right, which are kind of two in the same. But if you get fortunate time after time, your luck runs out at some point. And I think Pep Guardiola, this Man City team, James, We saw the lineup that Pep Guardiola put out against Liverpool in the cup recently, and even that was still a pretty close game. We know where Pep's focus is lying at the moment. He wants to make sure this Premier League is solidified. And despite all the talk that we've seen on Sky Sports, Monday Night Football and stuff about, Premier League's bigger than Champions League, Premier League's bigger than Champions League, we are dealing with arguably the greatest coach of this generation who's gone over a decade without winning the Champions League as a manager of Barcelona, Bayern Munich and Manchester City. It's unacceptable. You have to say that, right? We know where Pep's kind of position lies with this. I'm going to take Manchester City. I'm going to say that I think that the second leg at the Santiago Bernabeu is going to be a classic, an absolute classic, because I think that, they're going to come to play. At the Etihad, Pep's going to have a beautiful game plan. They'll probably leave that either with a draw or with a 1-goal advantage. And then it's going to be absolute mayhem at the Bernabeu. And I just think the luck runs out. Do I feel confident, James? Hell no. Hell no. I really, really don't. Your thoughts on me picking Man City? Because listen, my thoughts on you picking Real Madrid, totally okay with it. Honestly,
Jack,
this is a coin flip game for me.
Jack, I've just seen the stats there. I've seen that Manchester City was 64% favourites going into the game, which is to me a bit too much. I do understand that they're like, yes, they are favourites going into, but to say that they're that large favourites,
right?
I don't get so. Everything you mentioned, I kind of do agree with. That does look run out in certain point, but again, in my opinion, there's no luck in football in certain points.
No, sure. No, hey, you make your own luck. Yep.
With Real Madrid, to me, it's the mentality that they've built up, Jack. It's this mentality of that, Jack, they could be 1-0, 2-0 down, even a man down. And that mentality to believe that if we're still breathing, we can still win this game. And to me, that is the hardest thing to play against. When a team does not know when they're beaten, when a team does not know how to lose in certain situations, Jack, it's hard to play against them because you can't take your foot off the pedal. And let's just listen, Man City ain't a team to take their foot off the pedal. But
no, sure.
In certain moments, special things can happen in football games, and we all know there's still certain things that you just can't control. And if Real Madrid does get to that point, they're so irresistible. But again, as I mentioned before, Man City are favourites going into this game, and I totally understand your prediction.
The only other point I want to raise, and this is a point for you, James, so I'm going to kind of let you ride off into the sunset with this one. And again, it's less of giving you more of a point to make your argument stronger, but it's more just information for the listeners. Guys, La Liga standings, Real Madrid, 75 points. Second position on 60 points, Barcelona, Sevilla, and Atletico Madrid. That's a 15-point gap, right? That's a 15-point gap. Manchester City have Liverpool breathing down their necks, knocking them out of domestic cups, right? Beat right there with the Premier League as well. This is a high-pressure 3-month period for Manchester City, which they've been in, since the past month or so, that will then go on now here till the end of the season, right? Real Madrid are kind of chilling. A little bit. They've won the league. I don't know if anybody strictly expected them to do maybe as well as they've done in terms of the margin, but they've won the league, right? And we know what they're doing in the Champions League right now. We saw what they did against Sevilla, right? It's all very dramatic. So I'm just saying there'll be a greater level of preparation, a bit more rest there. You mentioned the injuries against Atletico Madrid, but that would be my final point. That felt like a big mental victory for this Manchester City team, that Atletico Madrid game. There are so many times where we'd see them crumble. Anyway, nice to have a difference. We went through an entire round last time with all picking the same results, so it's nice to mix things up a little bit. Now, I swore at the very, very beginning that I was going to go first on this one because I'm not going to lie to you guys. When I do this with James, I have all my picks written down and then I let James do his thing, then I do my thing, then I do my thing again. James does his thing, James does his thing again. The first time in this Champions League series, I don't have Liverpool or Villarreal written down here. So I'm going to think about this. And you guys might be thinking, what are you talking about? First and foremost, where's the first home game, James? Where's the first leg? Anfield. I've been talking a lot that I would pick Liverpool against whoever they came up against if the second leg was at Anfield. This is the first time. If Unai Emery can get it right in the first leg, this is going to be a difficult fixture. Now, what a lot of people might go, Jack, what are you talking about? This is Liverpool. Like, come on. Were we not saying that about Juventus? I mean, maybe not to the same level, especially not this season, but is still Juventus, James. I could still pull up a list of names and a manager and positions where I'd go, this is a pretty talented football team. And Villarreal beat them. And they didn't just beat them 1-0 or on penalties or in a knockout. One of those legs was a 3-0 beating of Juventus. Second game, Bayern Munich. My pick to win the entire thing. Robert Lewandowski in this kind of tirade to be the best player in the world, get his Ballon d'Or, get the stranglehold on the individual awards that he feels like he deserves. Beaten. Not okay convincingly, but that's two titans that have just been wiped out at this point. Liverpool might be next. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at, the defense isn't particularly fast, but is that going to be a problem when they're going to sit so deep, James? I think if you've got Pau Torres, who we know is a talent, Raul Albiol, who we know is so experienced, so smart, they're not going to play with much space. They won't have to cover a great deal of ground. It's just going to be about decision-making and defensive positioning. They do have players who are capable on the break. They have an unbelievably hard-working midfield. I just don't want to be the schmuck who picks Liverpool because it's the safe pick, when actually what I'm seeing and how I'm feeling is that this is going to be hard. This is going to be really hard. This is Unai Emery's bread and butter playing against a team like this. It really, really is. The high press worries me from Jurgen Klopp. Villarreal do not have the ball players to deal with the pressure that they're going to be under, even if it is just a quick hoof the ball up the field to Paco Alcacer, Gerard Moreno, Samu Chukwueze, whatever, right? Because even if it's just getting the ball, receiving it from the goalkeeper, from your defence, moving half a yard to the side and hoofing the ball into one of the channels, Liverpool's high press, they might not even get the chance to do that. I'm looking at somebody like a Coquelin, right? So is he going to have a chance? Or Lo Celso, is he going to have a chance or the ability to do that with all those Liverpool players swarming around him? I'm not so sure. I'm going to go with Liverpool. But I reserve the right before the end of this recording to change my mind. Go on, James, take it away. I'm going to bury my head in the sand.
As I said, Jack was just here and there. You could just feel like he was a man who's just going through so many thoughts there. And Jack, I feel you to a certain point. I really, really do. And as I said, this Villarreal team is not to be played with. Honest to God, people who look at this game and be like, and especially a lot of English, British fans, Liverpool are just so much. Yes. Liverpool are great. But this Villarreal team are built for these sort of stages, are built for these sort of moments, are built for these sort of competition. Jack, the fact of the matter is, I know Liverpool are much better than Arsenal and Manchester United, but Villarreal were able to beat Arsenal and Manchester United last season in the Europa League. This season, they've been able to beat Juventus, and also beat Bayern Munich. And Jack, also
get out of their group, James. You didn't even have them out of their group. I'm not trying to throw you under.
I know. Jack, they had a do or die game against Atlanta, away from home, and they found their way. They found a way to win that game, Jack.
Yep.
It's crazy what this team does. It's crazy how resilient they are. Their ability to go to Bayern under all that pressure with the crowd. You know what the Allianz arenas like, and you know what happens when they get going, especially when that first goal went and you're thinking, okay, here comes the blood, but they stopped the bleeding, were able to control and get that goal. I have so much respect for Villarreal, so much respect, but there's a few things that worry me about them. Jack, defensively, I like the way they set up, but Liverpool, are similar to Bayern Munich. From the point of view how they play a high line, Villarreal are going to get chances. I can almost guarantee you that they will get chances. But to me, watching how wasteful they were against Bayern Munich lets me feel very, very, very worried, because the chances that they get and they don't take against Liverpool is going to be a big problem. Because yes, Bayern Munich are a good offensive team, but they don't have as many killers as Liverpool. Liverpool will create chances. And are you trying to tell me that when you have Jota, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Henderson might even drop in with a goal there. They have killed Trent, Robinson. They have goals from
James. Ibrahim and Konate scored in 3 straight games.
Konate from a set piece. They have goals from everywhere around the field. And how many times have we seen this from Liverpool? They can see the chance on the other head. Alisson makes a big save or it's a big miss. Liverpool go, back down the other end and find a way score a goal from a ball from Trent, goal from Jota. We've seen this on so many occasions, and I just look at Liverpool don't need that much. We've seen that against Manchester City, Jack. They don't need a whole lot of possession. They don't need a whole lot of chances. It's one chance, one goal from them. And to me, that's what is going to hurt Villarreal, because they're going to get their chances. If they take them, then okay, they have a chance there. But if they're constantly missing opportunities like they did against Bayern Munich, Liverpool on the other end are going to score. Yeah, from a poor transition from Villarreal, a corner, a ball in from Trent, a ball in from Robinson, a bit of magic from Salah, Mane. There's so many different ways that Liverpool can score from.
I was going to change my mind.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it's the quality of the delivery. That's gonna be the killer, because guys, you can be in the best defensive position possible. You can have your positioning set right, and you can have everything by the book, as the coach would tell you, to be defending from a set piece or from open play, right, cross into the box. But if Trent hits a ball like we know he can hit a ball, even Andrew Robertson, I'll throw him in there. If they can deliver that ball quite perfectly, and Divock Origi's come on in the 78th minute, it's going to the right guy and it's going into the net. It is. That's going to be the main difference maker for me. Just quickly, James, I want to bring this up and ask you, so hold that thought. Mo Salah hasn't scored in open play since February. Is that a concern for you at all, going into a game where, James, this team's going to give up a lot of shots, but these aren't going to be great shots that Liverpool are going to be having?
To give up, I don't think it makes a difference, because Liverpool are scoring from Jack every single angle.
Right.
If to me, that's a sign of a great team. If your best goal scorer isn't scoring, but you still got 5, 6, 7 players who can chip in with goals, it doesn't make a difference. Salah can contribute in different areas, like we see it against Manchester City with a brilliant pass into Sadio Mane for the goal. Yeah, so I don't think it's a problem that Salah isn't scoring. Liverpool are a team of absolute killers who don't need that much. Sometimes it's just a half yard of space. Sometimes, Jack, against Benfica, it's a scoop shot from Jota. The ball goes into Firmino. It's a tap in. It's just little moments here and there where Liverpool somehow conjure up a way to score, and that's, to me, could hold Villarreal back. So with all this is taken into consideration, I have Liverpool going through, unfortunately. And Jack, I think this is the first time a Premier League team would play in all 4 finals in 1 year: Champions League final,
awesome.
League Cup final, FA Cup final. Crazy.
Unreal.
And also
it's an unbelievable achievement. Yeah, we can't. Again, this can't go understated. The kind of level of achievement that we're talking about here from this team, both these teams as well. This conversation, I think, off camera, James and I have had before, in terms of tactical sophistication, what Klopp, what Pep are doing, even compared to the Sir Alex Fergusons of old, the Wengers of old. Guys, we're talking about a different level here. Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson have their merits in other very, very important areas of being a football manager. But in terms of just tactical sophistication and what these guys have been able to do, it is very, very impressive. So my final is looking like Manchester City versus Liverpool. Go on, English football, right? James's final is looking like Real Madrid Liverpool, which was also a repeat of the Sergio Ramos Taekwondo match that we had.
That was more the Karius match than the Sergio Ramos.
True, that's true. Guys, what I will say, James and I, obviously, it's, kind of chalking it off here on the Liverpool game. We're both taking Liverpool. I don't feel great about that. And I can tell by the way James is talking about it, he doesn't feel brilliant about it either. If James gets that one right, if it is Real Madrid, James and I will be tied going into the final. And then we're going to have a pretty interesting conversation. If you're following along with us, give your thoughts on what you think are going to happen in these semi-finals. I would imagine James and I will be reacting to both legs, because obviously we're at the very, very important stage of this competition now. Drop a like on the video. Please share it with somebody who may have maybe a Villarreal fan who may have a different opinion. Subscribe if you are not, for more content like this. And until next time, we will see you.